It's the world's fastest growing religion, Islam. The Chicago area alone, home to an estimated 400,000 Muslim faithful. Tonight, why some people are making the switch to a religion many Americans have trouble understanding.
There are an estimated 1.3 billion Muslims worldwide, and most are not Arabs. Here in the United States, while the Muslim contingent numbers an estimated 7 to 8 million, it's growing rapidly. 20,000 new converts each year, 4 times as many women as men.
And when people see that, oh, what is Islam? What people are talking, why people are talking about Muslims and all this, and they go and search books, search on the internet, read Quran, the truth become, obvious to them themselves, and then they accept Islam and they become Muslims.
This is the story of 3 Chicagoans, all raised as Christians, all who've decided to ultimately reject that religion.
Internet is down.
Nadira Rodriguez Muhammad grew up Catholic, but found herself constantly questioning the long-held beliefs of her family.
I always felt that something was missing for me.
Ian Bushner is a law student at the University of Chicago.
I felt like that there wasn't a God.
Whitney Nichols is a new Loyola grad who grew up in suburban Streamwood.
I guess what I was really looking for was what felt most natural and most logical to me.
It's 1 p.m. in Mission Viejo, California, when Angela Collins answers the call to prayer. It's her second prayer of the day, and following custom, she'll pray 3 more times before the day is done.
Yes, I'm an American. I'm very outspoken. I'm pretty assertive and very happy person. And it's not the typical stereotype that people see with a Muslim woman.
Julia Roach converted to Islam after being introduced to the religion by her husband, Chris. They weren't married at the time. He is also an American.
When I found out he was Muslim, I told him, I believe, right away, I will never become a Muslim. I will never cover my head. I will never be this person. So don't ever ask me to be that person. And he never did.
But she did have lively discussions with him about religion. She was raised a Christian and said she converted after she was able to see past the stereotypes and learned about the values of Islam.
The concept of freedom and liberty of each individual person and the rights of each person, and that's all wrapped up in the theological teachings of Islam as well.
An insight into your own physiology.
Dr. O'Leary is a professor of neuroscience at St. Edward's University in Austin. The O in O'Leary may tell you Fidelma wasn't born in a Muslim family. She was raised Catholic, and by the time she was in college, she was already questioning her faith.
I was listening to a call-in radio show, and some guy called in and said, well, what I don't understand is this. If Jesus was God, how could he worship God?
For Fidelma, the caller gave voice to a yearning, and questioning turned to conversion.
This is what I think of as my light bulb moment. This was the moment when all the pieces finally locked and clicked, and I knew that Islam was the religion for me. I just embraced it and loved it.
I had a daughter who was born with what's called a coarctation of the aorta. It's a lethal problem, meaning that a child born with this condition most often dies, and they usually die in a particularly bad way. This was the first time when I got the news of her condition. This is the first time in my life I felt I had no control. I couldn't do anything about the situation. Every time before in my life, when there was a problem, I dealt with it on my own. When this baby was born, her name was Hannah, she went straight to the intensive care unit. Her body from here down was almost the color of my suit, closer to the color of your suit, just kind of a dusky gunmetal blue, because her body was not getting oxygen. Her body was literally starving in front of her eyes. That part of her body was literally dying. And when I saw that, like I said, it was the first time in my life that I needed to turn to some greater power. I was atheist up until then. I myself had never taken on any religion. So I had to leave the intensive care unit because they brought in a team of doctors, a team of specialists in the field. And while they were doing their thing, I just went to the prayer room. And for the first time in my life, I really prayed. And I prayed kind of the typical atheist prayer. There's a prayer called the prayer of the skeptic. And that's basically what I prayed. I just said, oh God, if you're there, I don't know if you're there or not, but if you are, I need help. And I made a promise to my Creator on that day. I promised that if He would save the life of my child and then guide me to the religion that was most pleasing to Him, that I would follow. And that was the simple promise. And I was only away for maybe about 15 minutes, 15 or 20 minutes, but when I went back into the intensive care unit, my daughter was on the other side of the intensive care unit. When I entered the door and looked across the room, the doctors raised their faces from my daughter. And I could see right away something had changed. Their faces were mystified, as if they didn't really understand what was going on, maybe a little bit shocked. When I walked up to them, they simply told me that she was going to be okay, and that she wouldn't, she wouldn't die. And sure enough, she went back to being a completely normal child. Her condition completely reversed. And here's the thing. We had an ultrasound film of her heart beforehand, and we had an ultrasound film of her heart after. And before, she had the problem I told you about. After, it was completely gone, stone cold normal. And the doctors, I remember the doctors sort of went through an explanation, but I remember standing there looking at them just thinking, you know, I know that explanation works for you, but it just doesn't work for me. I prayed this prayer. And I just have to believe that this was the hand of my Creator. So I knew He had made good on His promise, and I had to make good on mine. So that started me on a religious search. But then when it comes down to the tenets of Christian faith, they find maybe points 1 and 2 and 3 they can accept, but other things they find that they cannot accept. So they're searching. They're searching for how to make sense of all of this. Mm-hmm. And that's the position I was in until I became Muslim. It was Islam that, to me, made sense of everything.
Why am I here? What's the purpose of life? Why do I get up in the morning? Why do I even bother? Why don't I just sit on the couch, watch TV, Jerry Springer, whatever? And I think I started to ask questions about, the purpose of life, and that led me to start to do a bit of a holy quest. What about Islam? Islam? They're terrorists. I'm not going to investigate that religion. They're crazy. Why would I even look at that religion? But lo and behold, I found myself walking into a mosque one day, and I actually said to one of the brothers, because by this stage I think I've been going there for about a couple of weeks, there was always a few brothers there when I went, and I said to one of the brothers, I said, what's your opinion on the matter? Why won't you give me your opinion? And one of the brothers turned to me one day and said, how can I have an opinion when this is the word of God? SubhanAllah. I remember that really hit me. So I asked them if I could take a Quran home, and I didn't say I was going to use it to chalk up the couch or anything like that. I said I was going to respect the book, so I took it home, I started reading it. It's like I was on the edge of a cliff, I was ready to jump, I just needed a push. So I was sitting there, it was very quiet. I was reading Quran, and I stopped. I said, Allah, this is my moment. This is the time I'm about to jump into Islam. All I need is just a sign. Just a little sign, nothing huge, maybe a bolt of lightning. Maybe half the house could fall down or something, just small. Small for you, man. You created the earth, come on. So I sat there. I was waiting for the candle to start lighting up to 4 meters high like in the movies. And I go, okay, go. And subhanAllah, nothing. Absolutely nothing happened. I was really disappointed, to be honest. So I sat there and I said, Allah, This is your chance. I'm here. I'm not going nowhere. I'll give you another chance. Okay, maybe you're busy. You know, I know it's daytime over the other side of the world. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. Maybe this time it could just be like a car backfiring. You know, something small. All right, the half the house, the candle. Let's forget that. A bird could fart outside. I don't care. Just anything. So I said, okay, go. And subhanAllah, absolutely nothing happened. And I mean, I couldn't have even said, oh, that was it. That creep just then in the wall, that was it. Absolutely nothing happened. I was really disappointed. I was gutted. I was sitting there thinking, this is it, you know, this was my last chance, Islam, and I haven't found it. I pulled back the Quran, I turned back to where I was reading. SubhanAllah, the very next verse on the next page. For those of you who ask for signs, have we not shown you enough already? Look around you. Look at the stars. Look at the sun. Look at water. These are the signs for the people of knowledge. SubhanAllah.